Hello, my name is Eve Yaki, and I am a level 5 student with IGP at NAU. My subject major is biomedical science, and my language is Spanish. For my year abroad, I lived in Alicante, Spain, which is kind of on the bottom east corner of Spain, right on the coast. It was really fun to live by the beach, and this castle right here was a pretty famous landmark that was right on the beach where all the tourists go, and it was a fun place to go after classes and whatever. So, for my first semester in Alicante, I took classes at the University of Alicante, and for my second semester, I did an internship at the university. And all in between, during the weekends, I was able to travel with the Erasmus ESN group that is kind of through the university and also just with my friends. So for classes in the first semester, I was able to take this botany class that I thought was really interesting. We had a lecture in a lab, and all the pictures here are from the lab, which I think was the coolest part. We would collect plants from around the campus and kind of talk about like what types they were and what species they were. We were even able to go on a field trip, pictured right here. You can kind of see Alicante in the distance. This is my professor, and he's picking stuff out of the ocean, like this guy right here, to show us and talk to us about. So I thought that was cool. For my internship, I worked in the biotechnology department for an anthropology professor, and I worked with teeth of these four animals right here. Museums would send us these molds here, and then I would pour resin in them and patch up all the holes so they would come out as like perfect replicas of the actual teeth. And then, excuse me, I would take them to this computer right here and 3D scan them, take a bunch of pictures as the scanner went in a circle. And then I would get a photo kind of like this, and I would file all these photos into different categories based on the animals or how big the teeth were or a left or right tooth. And yeah, I just made a bunch, like a large database for all these molds of teeth. So I was very fortunate during my year abroad to be able to travel to all these places shown here. I would definitely say that that was the highlight of my experience abroad was just being able to see all these landmarks and try all the new food and traveling, not solo, but with friends, traveling kind of for the first time on my own gave me a lot of confidence with navigating airports and train stations and knowing what restaurant would be good and which restaurant wouldn't. And those are all useful school skills that I will take with me even after I graduate. So Alicante was a very beautiful place to study at. I loved the city. I loved the people I met, my roommates, the festivals, the food. Linguistically, one thing I thought was interesting about Spain in general, but I learned this when I moved to Alicante, was the way they pronounce the V sound in Spanish. So, a very common word that you'll hear all the time in Spain is vale, which is spelled with a V. So, when I would pronounce it at first, I would pronounce it vale, like with a very strong V sound. But I quickly learned that the Spaniards actually use more of a soft B when pronouncing that word, like vale. And it's not a strong B, it's a soft V or soft B, but that's one thing I noticed and thought was interesting while studying abroad. But yeah, I hope you check out my poster board at the summit on November 21st, and thank you.